When people hear the word gluttony, they think of food, overeating, indulging, no self-control. But I don't think gluttony is just about eating too much. I want you to look at it as consuming to avoid feelings, and consuming could mean a variety of things. It's when you keep filling yourself with something because sitting with yourself and your feelings feels worse than being full. So that could be full of food, full of dopamine, full of noise, full of distractions, full of pretty much anything except for silence. Gluttony is never necessarily just about hunger. It's about emptiness. So what does that look like? For example, binge watching a show all night instead of sleeping because you don't want tomorrow to come. Or scrolling for hours on your phone because stillness makes your thoughts loud. It's eating when you're not hungry, drinking when you're not thirsty, smoking not to enjoy it, but to numb everything. It's chasing more even when more doesn't satisfy you anymore. More content, more validation, more pleasure, more comfort, and somehow still feeling hollow on the inside. There's a variety of ways we fall into gluttony. Gluttony shows up when we're overwhelmed, when we're lonely or we're exhausted, when life feels heavy and our expectations pile up. You start feeling behind, insecure even, lost. So instead of dealing with the weight of it, you look for something easier to swallow. Something quick, something comforting, something familiar. And at first, it works. It works really well. For a moment, you feel okay, but gluttony always asks for more. Always relies on more. The relief never really lasts. So that's what gets you going back again and again and again. Until the thing that once, quote unquote, helped you cope started to control your life. And the thing that makes me so angry is how socially acceptable it is. No one questions binging shows. No one questions constant snacking or non-stop stimulation. We even crack jokes about it. But deep down, you know, when you're using something to run from yourself in any way, it can't be healthy for you. But the thing that's weird about gluttony is you can be functioning perfectly fine. You can be smiling, laughing, showing up, while slowly losing discipline and presence and purpose over time. And it's one of those things that you can just kind of brush under the rug so nobody else would notice. And that's what makes it so bad. And there's something I'd like to say. Gluttony is so much different than fulfillment. Fulfillment nourishes you. Gluttony numbs you. Fulfillment leaves you feeling grounded and steady. Gluttony leaves you wanting more. Fulfillment strengthens you. Gluttony weakens everything, including your self-trust. And once you realize that, you start asking better questions. For example, am I enjoying this? Or am I avoiding something? And I'd like to make it clear, this isn't about guilt. This isn't about cutting everything out all at once. This isn't about being perfect. It's about spreading awareness, pausing before you consume and asking, why am I reaching for this right now? Sometimes the answer is simple. You're tired, you're lonely, you're stressed out, or you're hurt. And that's okay, that's normal. Healing doesn't start with deprivation. It starts with honesty. Not all hunger comes from the body. Some hunger comes from feeling unseen, feeling unloved, unaccomplished, uncertain. And gluttony will feed on that. You don't eat because you're starving. You eat because you're empty inside. You don't consume because you enjoy it. You consume because you're trying to fill an empty void that doesn't have a physical solution. And here's the hardest part. No amount of consumption will ever fill that emotional void. And that's why gluttony always asks for more. More intensity, more quantity, more stimulation. Because the problem was never the hunger or being hungry, the act of being hungry. It was the connection, the purpose, the healing. And until one of those needs are met, gluttony will keep pretending it can fix them. As most things that I've already talked about, gluttony doesn't ruin your life all at once. It doesn't show up as this huge chaotic event. It sneaks in forms of comfort. You start choosing what feels good right now over what's good for you later on in the future. One more episode, one more drink, one more hit, one more meal when you're already full. One more distraction instead of responsibility in any way. And none of it feels like that big of a deal until you look back and you realize how much control that you have given away. Discipline doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes quietly. Gluttony teaches you that you don't need to sit with the discomfort, that you can always escape it. And once your brain learns that pattern, it'll stop trusting you to do hard things. That's when motivation dies. That's when promises to yourself start breaking. That's when self-respect begins to fade. Not necessarily because you are lazy, but because you've trained your body and your mind and your soul to avoid discomfort instead of growing and working through it. And again, I know I say this all the time, but nobody warns you how terrifying the silence truly can be. When things finally do slow down, no music, no phone, no food, no smoke, no background noise, right? That's when everything you've been avoiding starts talking. Excuse me. Regret, the shame, old memories, thoughts of you buried because you didn't know how to deal with them at the time. Gluttony becomes a shield against that silence. Because if you're always consuming something, you never have to sit with yourself. You never have to ask the hard questions. You never have to feel the weight of what you lost and what you messed up, or what you are scared to face, I should say. And a lot of people don't overconsume because they want pleasure. They overconsume because they're afraid of being alone with their thoughts. Silence feels so dangerous when you don't trust your own mind yet. So what we like to do is fill the quiet over and over and over again until quiet feels kind of foreign. The hardest lesson I've had to learn is this: you don't beat gluttony by punishing yourself. And this goes for anything. You don't win by shaming yourself for slipping up. You don't win by pretending you don't want things. You win by learning when enough is enough and asking yourself, am I actually enjoying this, or am I just avoiding something? And by noticing when consumption turns into compulsion and realizing that wanting less doesn't mean you're depriving yourself, it means you're choosing. You have the power, you have the control. And that choice doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest and true with yourself. Some days you will still overindulge. Some days you'll still escape, but awareness is the beginning of freedom. The moment you start paying attention and not even taking action, just the initial realization and kind of calling it out in a way, that's the moment gluttony loses its power over you. I think that's all I have for you. Gluttony doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human in a world designed to keep you consuming. And if this video hit a nerve, that doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you are now becoming aware, and now it's time for the next step to take action. So take this with you. You don't need more to be enough. You don't need constant stimulation to be alive. And you don't need to escape yourself to survive. Sometimes the strongest thing that you can do is sit with yourself and stay. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for fighting battles most people never even open up about. I also wanted to say this. Making this series was genuinely one of the most fun and meaningful things I've worked on in a while. And the support and feedback and messages, all the conversations you guys started, I didn't expect any of that. I didn't expect people to actually sit with these videos, actually think about them on a deeper level, and see themselves in them. And that part meant more than the views or the likes or any of that ever could. And honestly, gluttony was the hardest one for me to make. Not because I didn't understand it, because I saw too much of myself in it. I kept rewriting this one, second guessing it, asking myself if I was really being honest or if I was just saying the right things. And this one forced me to slow down a little bit and actually sit with some of these uncomfortable truths. But that's also why I'm glad it's the last one. Because if the series was about anything, it was about awareness, not perfection. Growth, not guilt. And realizing we're all just trying to figure ourselves out in a world that never stops asking for more. So truly, to every single one of you out there, thank you for walking through this with me. It wouldn't have felt the same without you. And even if only one person felt seen, challenged, or a little less alone because of this series, then every late night rewrite and uncomfortable moment was worth it. Thank you. Stay rolly.